Hi, I'm Lucy from Sew Essential, and today I'm showing you how to use your sewing machine needle threader, including my top tips, common pitfalls and how to avoid them. Let's get started. So I'm going to show you how to use the needle threader, but first of all I want to talk through some big no-nos for needle threaders, and that's because one of the most common issues our customers report to us are issues with needle threaders. But if you know how to use them and you follow these top tips, they're easily avoidable, and usually if you have got a problem they're quite easy to fix as well. So I just want to start by explaining how the needle threader works. When you draw it down, at the bottom of the needle threader there's a very, very fine wire, and that passes through the eye of the needle and catches the thread and draws it back through the eye of the needle as you release the needle threader up. So the first no-no is you shouldn't use a needle threader with very thick threads like a top stitching thread. And this is because the thick thread will put too much resistance on that very fine wire and can easily cause it to bend out of shape. The second big no-no is you shouldn't use a needle threader with a needle that's smaller than a size 80, and this is because the smaller the size of the needle, the smaller the eye of the needle, and when you're working with a very small needle like a 70 or a 60, when you draw the needle threader down, it's very easy for that wire to hit the needle rather than pass through the eye of the needle, and again that can cause it to bend out of shape. Another common mistake that can cause issues with your needle threader is if the needle isn't inserted fully into the needle clamp. So I'm just going to remove this one to show you how to do it and give you a couple of tips. So you just unscrew there and you can drop your needle down. A little tip actually is to just put a piece of card or paper or fabric over your needle plate, because that will stop the needle dropping inside the machine if you do happen to accidentally let it go when you're removing it. But when you insert the needle into the needle clamp, as I say, you need to make sure that you push it all the way in right to the top so that it's in the correct position. Otherwise your needle threader again can hit the needle at the wrong place, and that can cause that wire to bend out of shape. There are a couple of tools that you can get to help with this as well, available on our site, and you'll find all our sewing machines available on our site as well. We stock a really wide range of machines, but there's a cleaning brush that's got a hole in the end of it, and it's just a few pounds, and you can slot the needle into that hole and then use that to push the needle into the needle clamp, and it's just it makes it a lot easier if you struggle to get your hands under there and you find it difficult, and also it just gives you that confidence that you've pushed it all the way up, and then you can just turn the screw a couple of times with your hand and then just go back in with your screwdriver and secure that. And when you tighten this screw, you don't want to over tighten it, but equally obviously don't leave it so loose that the needle can drop out. You just want it to get a bite and just be nice and secure. And then the other tool you can use is a humper jumper. Very often these come with a hole in the end as well, and you might even have one in your sewing machine tools if you look in there, but you can use this for the same purpose. And the other purpose for a humper jumper is that you can just push it under the back of the sewing machine foot if you're sewing over a bulky seam, and it will help you to get over bulky seams more easily. And both of these tools are available on our site. I'll pop links to them below. They're very, very inexpensive but incredibly useful to have. Before you go ahead and use the needle threader, you also need to make sure that the needle is in the correct position. So you can do this by turning the hand wheel towards you to bring it up to the highest position, or if you've got a machine like the Janome M200 that I'm currently using and it's got needle up down, you can just press that button twice and that will bring the needle up to the highest position. Then 90% of needle threaders work in the same way as this one. You just pull a lever down at the side of the machine here, the needle threader swings round behind the needle and that fine wire will pass through the eye of the needle. Then you just take your thread around the guide on the left hand side and across the eye of the needle, And just hold it, you don't want to hold it too taut so that the wire can't pull the thread through, but equally you don't want it too loose that it's hanging below the eye of the needle. You just want it across the eye of the needle, and then release the lever, and you'll see there that the thread has passed through, and I can just draw it through like so, and then put it under the foot and to the back of the machine. There is also another style of needle threader which you might come across, which I wanted to show you, and with this style of needle threader it swings across in front of the needle, and this is available on the Brother machines from sort of the mid-range up. We've got the full Brother range on our site, so I'll pop links to where you can find our sewing machines on our site below. This is also a similar thing, is also available on some of the Janome machines, but I really like this needle threader. I really like the way it works. I think it's incredibly reliable, and the way it works, you just bring the thread up through that notch there, across where the number 7 is there, and then you cut the excess thread off on the thread trimmer on the side of the machine, and then you draw the lever down and it swings round and passes the thread through the eye of the needle. And I just find this needle threader so easy to use. So if you are someone that's looking for a new machine perhaps, and a needle threader is an important part of your purchase, you want a really good one, I do highly recommend these needle threaders. And as I say, they're available on the mid-range up on the Brother machines and on some of the Janome ones as well. But just check out the links below, and don't hesitate to contact us if you need any help choosing. If you have damaged your needle threader and it's not working properly, very often it's an easy fix that you can do yourself. Just draw the needle threader down, and this is a lot easier on the style of needle threader I showed you first, where it comes around the back of the needle. And if you look closely, you'll be able to see whether it's going to the left or the right of the eye of the needle. Then you can just use a pair of tweezers to tease it back in the correct direction, then draw it down again and test it again, and very often you'll be able to get it back into the right position. But if you've severely damaged it, there are times when you can't do that and you do need a new needle threader, but it's relatively inexpensive. You just need to take it to a repair shop or a local engineer, and they should be able to do that for you. And then in the meantime, if you want to thread the needle, you can use one of these manual needle threaders. They're available on our site, very inexpensive again, and you just pass the thread through that gap. Just lift the foot so we can get some more thread. Pass the thread through that gap, and then place the needle threader over the needle, and as you draw it down the needle, work your way down the needle, just push it, and it will push the thread through the eye of the needle like so, and then you can just pull it through and pass it to the back of the machine, or under the foot and to the back of the machine before you start sewing. And these are really inexpensive and easy to use. I'll pop links to those below for you as well. And then another little tip, if you are having to manually thread the needle for any reason, on this Brother machine you can see there's a little white square or rectangle there, and that's because having that contrast against the silver needle just makes it that little bit easier to see the eye of the needle. But if you've got a machine like the Janome one I was using at the start of the video, and this is metal, you can just stick a sticky label in a bright colour or a white one on, and then use that to thread the needle more easily. So I hope you've enjoyed that and found it useful. Everything I talked about today is available on our site. As I mentioned, I'll pop links to everything below. You'll also find a link to our weekly newsletter for a healthy dose of sewing inspiration straight to your inbox. And if you like what you see today, please like and subscribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.